There we're recording. So tonight, what's happening tonight and why I've started the live stream a little bit early is because we're going to join with the gates, I think, for the whole thing, if we can, because John is going to be there doing the Book of the Goose with Michelle, and it's going to be lovely. And because it's a special night, because these things haven't happened for a long time, we thought we'd just stay with the Crossbones Vigil at the gates. And then we'll see how it goes. So Natalie is recording it for us and showing us it there in the little box. Hopefully what I'll do when we start, I'll make her film bigger so we won't be able to see all of us. But welcome people on Facebook also. We have a very devoted, oh, Natalie's gone. Hopefully she'll come back. We have a very dedicated and devoted following on Facebook. So welcome to all of you. Let me just check that it's working, and I will. So what I will do is, oh, it's always a worry, isn't it? Technology is such a thing. Natalie has gone sideways, but you know, sideways is better than not at all, is what I say. Right, let me just share the live onto my page as well. Right, that should be. How are you, Doug? You all right?
Yes, not too bad, thank you very much.
Good.
I've had both my eyes done now, so I can see out of both eyes properly now.
Oh, that's good.
Got my colour back.
Sounds like a good idea. Yeah, you're looking well.
It's amazing. I've been missing such a lot.
Yeah. Oh, it must be such a thing. I remember when I got my first pair of glasses when I was 11. Oh, I hadn't realised I couldn't see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a miracle, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right, so hopefully, oh, there's Jennifer. You're sideways. Why are you sideways?
Oh,
we
yeah.
can't hear you. I can't hear you, Jennifer.
She's silent as well.
I know. It's all happening.
I'm here. I'm here.
Good.
Oh, look, we're starting.
Hello.
We need to mute ourselves because we're starting. Hello, Ruth. But we're sideways.
Oh.
Natalie, oh, no, there we are. Right, I think I'm going to mute myself. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, Facebook. Enjoy.
Spirits of the dead, to this vigil for the outcast, in which we remember the outcasts, both dead and alive, who hold our society together and have held it. I've been told by some this is the 213th, by some the 216th, 219th, but we're not famed for our mathematics here at Crossbones. So whatever number, probably 219th vigil. Welcome. We're going to do a series of small acts, and I've been asked to guide us through those acts today. Today, I would like to particularly remember our beloved Sarah, who helped to direct both of the plays and thus played a crucial part in the great work we do here. We'd also like to welcome John back, who wrote the mysteries from his Glastonbury place where he lives now. and Michelle, who was at one time Mole Cup person and another time the Goose. They're going to be bookending our contributions section today. Oh, there's another crow who's back.
Oh, Charlie! Another
So to begin, I'd like to ask someone please to hold the light. Can someone step forward, please, who's happy to hold the light? Thank you so much. What's your name? Alejandra, welcome. So for this section of the vigil, we're going to try and cultivate a sense of inner calm, receptivity, what we at Crossbones call the shining emptiness, the dazzling darkness, where in the hubbub, the hustle and bustle of London, we can create a sight within ourselves of receptivity to what goes on here. This is a place, this is a portal, and the quieter we can make ourselves at the beginning, gently, the more we might see. So for a few minutes, a couple of minutes, let's just meditate. When I flash the bells again, we'll go to the next section of the vigil. Open pathways. Can I ask please for a couple of volunteers to help distribute these lovely ribbons which Jen has kindly brought for us? Thank you. If you don't have a ribbon and you really want one, then I'll keep a few back here in case they don't get to everyone. So for this part, we're going to do an echo poem or an echo prayer. So you can repeat after what you hear around you at whatever rhythm, at whatever rate you would like. The act of binding these ribbons to the gates is a process of physically acting through what we wish to bind in our hearts, what this place means to us when we have a ribbon. And everyone have a ribbon? Awesome. So at whatever rate you see fit, whatever pattern or rhythm you want, I'm going to start the echo poem, and please repeat. Before that, I'd just like to welcome our Zoomers, all our Zoomers and Boomers, and everyone who's here in cyberspace as well. Thank you for joining us for the whole hog this time. And also to our Goose Samurai, Jen. Yay. Our Goose Samurai keep us safe from the London traffic, which can be quite frightening, but still keep your eye out for cyclists because we can't stop them weaving past. So without further ado, let's all come forward. Perhaps not all at once, but gently come forward and tie a ribbon to these words. Here lay your hearts.
Here lay your hearts,
Flowers.
your flowers, your book of hours,
Here hang your hopes.
fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums. Here hang your hopes, your
Here
dreams,
hang your hopes.
your might have beens, your locks,
Your
your keys,
your mysteries.
your locks. Here hang your hearts,
Here hang your
flowers,
house, your
your
flowers, your book of
flowers,
hours,
your fingers, your
your
thumbs,
fingers, your
your miss
thumbs,
you
your missy
mums.
mums.
Here hang your
Here
hopes,
hang
your dreams,
dreams,
your
might
might
have
have
been.
beens,
Here hang your
your
hopes.
locks,
Your locks, your keys,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries.
Here lay your
Here lay your
hearts, your
hearts,
flowers,
your
your book
flowers,
of
your book of
hours,
hours,
your
Here lay your
fingers, your
hearts.
your
thumbs, your
thumbs,
miss you
your mystery
mums.
mums.
Here hang your
Here your
hopes, your
hopes, your
dreams,
dreams, your
your
might
might
have
have
been.
beens, your locks,
The
your
locks, your keys,
your
your
mysteries.
mysteries.
Here lay your
Here hang your
hearts, your
hopes,
flowers, your book of hours,
flowers,
your fingers, your
fingers, your
miss
thumbs,
you
your miss you
mums.
mums.
Here hang your
Here lie your
hopes, your
hopes,
dreams, your might
dreams,
have
your might have been.
beens, your locks,
Your
your
locks, your
keys, your
keys, your
mysteries.
mysteries.
Your thumbs, your mums,
Here lay your hearts, your flowers,
Here hang your hopes.
and
your
your hopes,
dreams, your might have beens, your locks, your keys, your mysteries.
Your
your
keys.
keys,
Your
your
mysteries.
mysteries.
Here lay your hearts.
Your hearts, your flowers, your book of hours, your fingers, your thumbs, your miss you mums.
Hang your
Here hang your
hopes.
hopes, your dreams, your might have beens, locks, your keys, your mysteries.
Mysteries.
Oh, what happened? There we go.
Thank you, everyone, for intoning that so peaceably. And as there are so many of us for not elbowing each other to get out of the way to tie a ribbon, beautiful. I'd also like to thank Jen and Nick, who kindly untied the ribbons that became rather dusty and dirty over lockdown when we moved into cyberspace, and made them look so glorious as they are now. The next part of the vigil is what we call the contributions section. And I'd like to offer anyone and everyone who has a contribution that corresponds to what this place means to them, or to an outcast, or to a loved one who may have passed. What we do with this section is we bookend it with contribution from the Southern Mysteries. And as today we have John and Michelle, they're going to begin and end this with the Book of the Goose. Am I right? Amazing. So when John and Jen have done the first bit of the Book of the Goose, I'm going to invite anyone who wants to. Can I get a show of hands now to get a sense of the numbers of 1, 2, 3? Cool. So 3 so far. If any other people didn't feel confident now, but then start to feel confident later, it's still open. So don't feel like we've only got 3. There's plenty of time. But without further ado, I'd like to welcome John and Jen.
Michelle.
John and Michelle. John and Michelle. Yeah. Jet lag.
Very brief introduction. So my work at Crossbones began with a poem, The Book of the Goose, which came to me in a vision, in a visitation, and which was really guided by this spirit of this place, the goose. a Winchester goose, licensed by the Bishop of Winchester to work in the brothels of Bankside, which were owned by the church and yet denied Christian burial, buried in the unconsecrated Crossbones Graveyard. It began with the Book of the Goose, a single poem, and that grew into a cycle of vision books, poems, and then a cycle of mystery plays, the Southwark Mysteries, which were performed in two very large-scale productions. The first in 2000 in Shakespeare's Globe and Southwark Cathedral, and the second in 2010 in Southwark Cathedral. And both were directed by Sarah Davy Hull. And I mean, the first time Sarah directed it in 2000, I really threw her into it. I think she had about a month to prepare, and we really threw it on. And when I asked her to do it in 2010, she said she would, but only if she really had the chance to do a proper production, to work with people. And as it was, we managed to raise nearly 100 grand, which is a miracle delivered by the Goose in itself. But it meant that we could have a 3-month rehearsal process. And we had about a core cast of maybe 20 actors, but another 130 in the community cast, many of whom had never acted before, some of whom are here now. Kim and Jen, and probably and Charlie over there, who played John Crow in that. Oh, we're into it. Yeah, we are into the profession. And Michelle was the Goose. So they had scenes together. And just one thing I'd like to say about Sarah's direction. So we had 130 from the community cast. Some of them only had a couple of lines. Sarah worked with every one of them to give them a backstory, which is what we need in a theatre. So every single person, however small their part, was encouraged to create a character. And I think that was something for me of her generosity of spirit as a director. She really did have the common touch. And yeah, we're delighted that John and her family are here, because I wasn't able to get to her funeral, and I deeply regretted that. But it's a great joy to honour her here now with this poem we're about to do. That poem grew into a literary work, the Southwark Mysteries, and that in turn inspired what one might call a series of magical activist works, which for me spanned 23 years. And the objective was to create this shrine and then protect it to the outcast dead, and to create a garden of remembrance. And remember, when we started this work, we were working with land that was valued at £25 million, and it was scheduled for development. And we have achieved those objectives. And I don't say I've achieved them, because it was really many of us here, each playing our parts, friends of Crossbones. And we were never more than quite a small group. And yet we managed to impress Transport for London that they really did have to reckon with us. And the one thing they had to reckon with was, this is sacred ground. And that is our principle. This is the sacred ground of the outcast. And it means that people who really might not feel comfortable in a church or a formal religious setting have an opportunity to come and express their spirituality, express their sense of connection, and also for all of us to express a kind of community in a city where we're always being told our lives are so atomized. So this is, to me, a little of what Crossbones is about. And we've achieved much. We have a garden there that is working and operating. And one or two of you here are also wardens in the garden, helping to open it to the public.
We have the gardener here too, the new gardener, Matt.
We do, and there's Matt, who represents Boston managing the garden, who went to school, I believe, with you.
Frighteningly enough.
Strange small worlds of Crossbones. And so, although we've achieved many of those objectives, these vigils are continuing, and thanks to Jennifer and to Mark and to others like Mervyn and others who kept them going even through the whole of COVID. So we've never missed a single vigil in all those years at the gates. And that gives this power. And even though we've achieved our immediate objectives, this maintenance of a spiritual dimension to Crossbones, I think, is one of the greatest ways of protecting it for the future. That if people understand that this is a place of deep spiritual significance to many of us, then it'll help not only stop, I think the developers are stopped, but to stop it becoming, well, you'll see the Goose has a word for what it could become, and you'll see this in the poem. So all this is a very short, I hope, introduction. Michelle's waiting in the wings, and the last thing I would say is, so this is the poem that began my work at Crossbones. It was a 23-year work, which I finished on the 23rd November 2019, passing it on to Mark and Jen and others who could hold the space with the idea that Goose is loose. And this work began on the 23rd of November 1996. It began with the Book of the Goose and Michelle Watson, who played first Mold Cut Purse in the Globe in 2000, and then the Goose herself, she embodied in 2010, is going to lead us off with the Book of the Goose.
Southwark by the grace of Mary Overy. Its bishop gives me license to sin within the liberty. In Bankside streets and taverns, you can hear me off right daintily, as I unlock the hidden door and veil the secret mystery. I will dunk you in the river and then reveal my mystery. Oh Lord, in Westminster, virgin of my impious blasphemy. My God, in the face of all God-fearing servants of His Majesty. What though they throw me in the clink of King's Bench or Marshalsea, and leave me there to rot, they think, for brazen acts of harlotry. I call upon my bishop as defender of my liberty. When almighty city fathers, those dread guardians of morality, to ban all gaming, drunkenness, and acts of gross effrontery. What though they thunder over there, it matters not a fig to me. Over is the word without the law of London city, where whores are subject only to fair Southwark and her liberty. Oh, over there, you'd swear they were the image of propriety. But run over here, dear, and it's all rape and pillage and bondage and buggerage with molly boys. What jolly boys! And goose girls underage taking liberties and license, dear. We all have to deal with them. We pump them and paddle them and into bed. We squeal with them. Let's all go bait the bear. What madcap tomfoolery, if it wasn't in the service of such a pox-ridden majesty. Believe me, dear, been here before in all me pomp and finery. Johnny Wilson dashed and the doors of Hellfire Devilry. The Southwark Halls disported in the habit of a nunnery, of Wickham and the Hellfire Caves, that chapter house of liberty. When Southwark's mob took up the cry, and the cry was Wilkes and liberty. When I hear those hypocrites decrying and denying me, who make of me the vessel of all known vice and depravity, the way they talk, I swear, you'd think I was the whore of Babylon, as they make of me an altar they see fit to rape my children on, and a minister of morals. Oh, dear me! Oh, what a carry-on! Over there, it's all the family. Go on, marry on. But when they're over here, dear, then every Dick and Harry on the front bench has some wench or rough trade from Borough Lane, and every mad witch in Shoreditch has been poor St. Mary over it. Did they think my ghost would not start kicking against the poxy bricks? What I've done, all the bricking. How could they ever think they could sanitize me, dress up my clink to decriminalize me, turn me into their heritage theme park? Over here, dear. Want to take a walk down me dark alleyways and doorways, down me blood fanning streaming, Then it's what? Jack Shepherd, with his silver blade gleaming, and his one more body ditched in Thames water.
Yes, I've been here before, dear. Oft times in chastened circumstance, I lay with Master Geoffrey at the tavern making dalliance, for wending on his pilgrimage to tell a tale of Canterbury.
And I rode out beside him as the child of Mary Overbury went riding for a vision of humanity, man, God, and beast, communing for one moment in eternity, and the healing of the sick, and the questioning divinity who asks herself,
What am I to permit such wanton misery?
and compassion for all souls that dwell in shadows of mortality, compelling her to take on very flesh of that infirmity, until she's born a crafty whore, stewed in a southern hostelry, and using all her wherewithal to take a pilgrim's fancy, and lay with him, and play with him, and open eyes to see the goddess, that on judgment day shall stand by man and make his plea.
And I was in that miller's wife, who pushed her tush at Absalom, who kissed in many a wench's lip, but nary such a hairy one. Oh, you don't know me yet, dear. You will, dear, I promise you. I am a tricksy tart, dear. My aim is to astonish you.
John Crow with a riddle in a madcap rhyme, here to reveal my mystery. In London town at the end of time, Johnny go down on history. John Crow in Cathedral Yard, cursed with my gift of prophecy, here to play one last wild card for Southwark and her liberty. With a hey ho,
a jolly Jack Crow and his
merry band of adults never stumble when he trips my crown of the apocalypse. And some go, oh ho, who be this John Crow? This nobody rootless shaman of, kicking loose heels as the rank weeds grow, wild in our southern haven. And then the crow on the gargoyle, and he draw John a map of infinity, where God rejoices more in the brazen whore than in the wife in her pinch-faced chastity. With a knick-knack, paddy whack, give the dog a Bible black, John Crow whores are hollering. In the sack on your back, give the skull a good crack, see if it's a hollow one. Click, clack, click, clack, don't look back to see if deaths are following.
Tonight in hell, they are tolling the bell for the whore that lay at the tavern. And well we know how the carrion crow doth feast in our Crossbones graveyard.
With a hey ho, a jolly Jack Crow and his merry band of adults never stumble when he strips my crown of the poker, hey ho, a jolly Jack Crow and his merry band of adults never stumble when he strips my crown of the poker, hey ho, jolly Jack Crow and his merry band of adults.
Back to the end to finish it. Who would like? We had 3 people to volunteer, including me, I think. Would someone like to step forward first? Someone feeling the next contribution? Danny? Okay, welcome.
Hello, everybody. I came down here by mistake, cycling somewhere else to another party today, and did that bit of poem over there and sent it to John. And then a miracle happened. He actually responded to text. And the other miracle was that there was this going on today. So two miracles. This is a poem which I wrote in there during a 30-day ritual to actually a spirit called the Huntress, and then the Goose got involved. So this is it. Dirty-fingered Danny handles graveyard soil and yellow candles, smoky incense, chalky sigils modified from former vigils. Merry may the huntress meet the goose. One daughter offers me a sweet to give the goose's children, buried here beneath the garden. What's your wish for? Asked her twin. It's on the pomegranate skin, a word writ bold, communication offered with a gin libation. Final hell fruit of the season, to the goose is poem given. I pause to introduce some friends, and soon they're making plans. I turn again back to my own incanting, while nearby a guy to his phone is chatting, disappointed by the many master he saw sporting in Oaxaca City. There's a synchronicity that tickles me. I smile, collect my thoughts, reclaim my liberty right here and now, here in the clink. I'm free to cast my spells and think and practice chaos divination, overheard in conversation. May this crossbones incantation lubricate communication through the boundaries that divide, up from down and side from side. Pierce the veil that separates the gods from men and scripts from fates, the living from the long sinks dead, the soul, the heart, the guts, the head. May the past inform the present, so our future days be absent of the sorrow and the pain we felt, forgot, and felt again. From time to time, may wisdom flow above like unto that below. Above all, let our thoughts breathe free, so I see you and you see me, released from fears that fracture meaning, keeping stories from cohering. For me, make my channel clear, so I can feel and see and hear the huntress's communication, the goose's honking revelation. Who is the other wonderful?
My name's Ken.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
First, an announcement. I'm not sure if you've been mentioned here before, but a friend of some people here, Yoshi Mora passed alone, April 30th, and there's a party in Limehouse Town Hall, a venue might be familiar to some of you. Great people. It's a fundraiser also for their electricity. But my mother passed, and if I can keep it together, I'm going to read you a poem that she wrote in 1965. It's going to be hard. Any Polish speakers? Do a live translation. Okay, I'm going to have to do it myself. Ogłoszenie, an advert. Aktualnie zamienię wszystko. I will exchange everything. Patrons na porę roku. Now looking at the time of year. Jutro czekam na schodach. Tomorrow I will wait on the stairs. Najlepszym snu w oku. With the best dream in my heart, within my eyes. Asparagiem mojego serca. An asparagus of my heart. Omentany na szpulkę sprzedane. Mixed up on a spool, sold. Rybki z mojego brzucha, fishes of my stomach. Rzuciłem do oceanu, I threw them in the ocean. Alergiczna, czysta z kąpieli. Hypoallergenically clean from the bath. Wytarta z odczucia ludzkich. Clean, sorry, wytarta z odruchów ludzkich. Clean from the habits of people. Amebia bardzo podobna, very similar to an amoeba. Czekam na schodach gódzkich. I'm waiting on stairs, squatting. December 1965. Thank you.
Oh.
and that was beautiful. Thank you so much. Is there anyone else who wants to contribute? I'm going to sing one eventually. If anyone wants to step forward.
Especially a female voice, if there is one.
Exactly.
After all the silencing.
Well, I'm going to sing one then. It's still open. If someone wants to contribute something before John and Michelle close the offerings. I was going to do a poem from John's latest book, Grail, which is a poem about a monk and a prostitute. Very moving. I haven't committed it to memory yet, so instead I'm going to sing one which I haven't sung here yet. It's a nylon string, so if you want to step a bit closer so you can hear, feel free. So I was working with refugees, outcasts for 5 months this year, and this song just had to come out of me as a result. So thank you very much for your ears and you wanted to fall. Still this my benediction, blessing. Of the wind that ain't blowing where you want it to blow.
I've just asked Natalie to unmute, so we'll wait and see whether she does that. We'll wait for a moment.
In the meantime, really enjoyed the John and Michelle doing the book. So that was amazing. Oh, the back of it.
Welcome, Jen. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Danny. Jen leads the visuals as well. Welcome, Jen.
When we did the blessings and the bards a few weeks ago, George.
Oh, she's muted again. I'm not sure why that is happening. Let's see if I can. There we are.
People come to Crossbones and they see the place and they feel their feelings. I've read just today, this is the saddest place in London. And while it is a very hard story of what the people went through and lived through there, the people who are buried here, and the Winchester geese, a very hard story, but it is a true story. And truth is sometimes and very often hard, but it tells the story of London from the bottom up. Those that lived round about later on, while they might have been in grinding poverty, they weren't miserable. They were living their lives. They were having a laugh and a joke. They were enjoying themselves. So I'd like to introduce you to one of them. I'm Bert. You'll have heard of me, Bert. You've had word of me jogging along, hearty and strong, living on plates of fresh air. I dress in the fashion, and when I'm feeling depressed, I shave from my cuff all the whiskers and fluff, stick my hat on, and I go up west. I'm Burlington Bertie, I rise at 10:30 and saunter along like the top. I stroll down the Strand with my gloves on my hand, then I stroll back again with them off. I'm all airs and graces, correct easy paces, without food so long I forgot where my face is. I'm Bert, I haven't a shirt, but my people are well off, you know. Simply everyone knows me, from Smith to Lord Rosebery. I'm Burlington Bertie from Bow. I stroll with Lord Hurlingham roll at the Burlington, call for champagne, walk out again, come back and borrow the ink. I live most expensive like Tomlinson, I'm in the swim. He's got so much oof that he lives on the roof and I live in the floor above him. I'm Burlington Bertie, I rise at 10:30 and saunter along Temple Bar. It's down there I skip, I keep calling Pip Pip, and the damn fools think I'm in my car. At Rothschild's I swank it, my body I plank it, on his front door step with the mail for a blanket. I'm Bert, and Rothschild's was hurt. He said, you can't sleep there. I said, oh. He said, I'm Rothschild's sonny. I said, oh, that's funny. I'm Burlington Bertie. My pose, though ironical, shows that my monocle holds up my face, keeps it in place, stops it from slipping away. Cigars. I smoke thousands. I usually deal in the Strand. But you have to take care when you're getting them there, or some idiot will stand on your hand. I'm Burlington Bertie. I rise at 10:30 in Buckingham Palace. I stand in the yard while they're changing the guard, and the Queen hollers out, "Oi, you!" The Prince of Wales' brother, along with some others, slapped me on the back and said, "Come and meet mother." I'm Bert, and royalty's hurt when they ask me to dine. I say no. I've just had a banana with Lady Diana. I'm Burlington Bertie, not Glastonbury Gertie. I'm Burlington Bertie from
Rousing our spirits, Jen. Hilarious. Anyone want to step forward before we hear from John and Michelle once more? You're more than welcome to. Okay, I won't labour the point. John, you want to take the stage once more?
Yeah, I'd
Michelle,
like to
welcome.
just say a couple more words, if Michelle can help. Well, thank you, Jen, for that lovely song. Wherever you are. Oh, there you are. A musical song. My dad, who had become very middle class, and I was brought up very middle class. But my dad always used to sing old musical songs, and it was one clue to his real life. He never went to see his mother when she died, because him and 8 siblings were all taken into care, Dr. Bernardo's, in 1932, just on the eve of the Great Depression. And my grandmother, Nellie Chubb, was described as a thoroughly immoral woman, known to be living with 2 prostitutes in a house. And that was very curious, because most of the time I did this work, I often used to say, the women buried here may not be our blood relatives, but they are our kind of spiritual kin. And then I discovered, well, maybe it's closer to blood with me. And I never knew about this until very late in my life, because my dad buried it. It was just too painful for him. So suddenly I realized, in a way, I've been honoring Nellie Chubb, my wayward grandmother, here as well. And that makes it very up close and personal. The only other thing I want to say is, I'm very aware of this. We're going to be accompanied by a car alarm. And many of the performers today have dealt with car alarms, trains. And when Mark mentioned how we try here to cultivate a shining emptiness, what we're doing in a way is we're not trying to shut it out. We're just trying to not let it worry us, really, let it go straight through, because we've got more important things. And I think this is a wonderful exercise in a world where we're bombarded actually with trivia and distraction all the time from the really big crises that the human race faces, which we all know really what these are. And, you know, arguments about tax cuts and things really don't cut it. And I think the more that we can feel strong in ourselves and understand and just not buy into really all these little hooks and distractions, and then we can get real with each other. I don't think we can't save the planet, let's be honest. We might be able to save our little part of it. And that's really, to me, is what this is about. It's doing our best, you know, to be human and make that something to be proud of again, rather than something to feel deeply ashamed of. And so with that in mind, Michelle and I are going to complete the Book of the Goose. So all this came through me on the 23rd November 1996. It changed my life, and it's changed a few others in the process. So this is continuing from where we left off at the end of John Crow's Vigil. The accompaniment of car alarms. Shining emptiness. By the grace of Our Lady Mary Overy, let them see. Them that sell their time to earn a daily crust to feed a family. Them that trade the future in stocks and bonds or speculate in property. Them that crunch the numbers in the number crunching North Bank in the old city, then flood back across London Bridge
to take their trains to Gravesend and the estuary. Let them see. In the hungry eyes of debtors, doing time with Dickens' father in Marshalsea. The denizens of Bedlam, now entrusted to the care of our community. The homeless in the subways and the dead-end kids from Old Kent Road to Bermondsey. In the skull-face queers and junkies and the tart who tested positive for HIV. The shining eyes of our goddess of mercy. In the haggard face of John Crow, who watches from his high tower in Trinity. As in the single mother who lives across the road at number 23. The checkout girl in Superdrug, whose name tag says her name is Charity. And in every human face that is pocked and scarred by what we call reality, by the grace of Our Lady Mary Ovary, let them see the shining eyes of our goddess of mercy. 3, 4, let war be waged without. Break down the door and out the prison walls. Let it all fall down to be born again at liberty. Let within the dream of skin, she that is without sin cast the stone. For we all have our stake in the sum of human misery. Our messes and scraps and claptraps of niggling, naggling, bibbity, gibbety, novelty, grovelty, artsy, fartsy, mincy, queenie. Oh, how nasty. Minister, what's your private party? Political. Put Piggy in the middle. Jump and hump and dump on him. Pump him full of estrogen. Put a time bomb under him. Roast pork and bacon fat. How'd you like to chew on that? Down we ministry of sound, where we do we tribal dances, dear. What comes from underground isn't subject to the rule of fear. It must have given you a start to find me so lysergic, dear. When it comes to healing hearts and healing rifts between our hemispheres, there's no trick I wouldn't pull to entice you.
Over here. I tricked Mad John Crow when he was in his ecstasy to lend me his voice to make known my prophecy.
That in the month July, and the day shall be 23, in the year of Our Lady Mary Ovary, Southwark shall arise naked in her liberty, on the south bank of the Thames, arrayed in all her finery, with all her children, endowed with grace and dignity, the deformed and the deviant embraced into her unity, with Lambeth below her, Blake's garden in eternity. She shall open her loins to make whole the concavity, shall shuffle 2 right click, then shuffle left another 3, she'll strip the decks for one last sacred profanity, and the hypocrite shall blanch. Does she sanction such depravity? The great whore of Revelation, is not that surely she?
Relax, dear. You're over here. Don't go busting an artery, poisoning me rivers with your self-loathing fartery. The body, we all know, dear, is privy to mortality. This flesh shall rot and wither,
as you're so fond of reminding me. And when your kind's done, when you're done despoiling me, when you've had your fun, son, you've no further use for me. So pipe down,
shut your mouth.
Show some respect,
humility, and hearken to that silence, what is brimming with immensity,
unspeakable, shall speak, and in one word unfold her mystery, pronounce the end of time and beginning of eternity, and all her children gathered there in all their multiplicity, with one voice shall speak her name, and her name is Liberty.
Sarah. Open pathways, Sarah.
Open
pathways, Sarah.
Thank you so much, Thank you everyone for coming, lending your support through your presence, your contributions, which includes listening and taking it all in. The final aspect of this vigil act is a call and response. So I would like each of us ideally to hold a part of the gate, but there may be too many of us. So if you can't reach a part of the gate, then ask someone kindly if you can hold their shoulder so you're still connected to the gates. But before we do that, I'd just like to say, we're probably going down the pub, right, John?
The George.
The George, yeah. So if anyone wants to continue our celebration in a slightly less formal capacity with a few beers or whatever you like, lemonade, gin, indeed, we will go to the George. The George
Everyone's
pub.
invited.
And
Yeah,
everyone. It's
there's a few
non-exclusive.
friends here I haven't, like Mark, I haven't seen for, and Jan, I haven't seen for years. I mean, a couple of years. Actually, I saw you a month ago. I don't have to talk to you.
I'm so glad I love you.
Basically, we'll all fuck off to the
We
pub.
will all
Yeah.
to the pub,
Yeah.
politely.
Politely.
But yeah, I mean, even so, I might not get the chance to chat to everyone, be sympathetic to that. But yeah, you're all invited. Thank you, Mark.
Awesome. Jin Jan, would you like to seal us in? We're going to seal in this ritual act with gin. Gin, which was very much almost a kind of sacrament for the single women and the prostitutes who lived around these parts. But let's all hold a part of the gates now.
Touch the gates or touch somebody who's touching the gates.
So please repeat after me from the bottom of your lungs. Life,
Life,
health,
health,
happiness,
happiness,
open pathways,
open pathways, life,
health,
health,
happiness,
happiness,
open pathways,
open pathways,
health in the body,
in the body,
spirit,
peace in the
love in
spirit,
the heart,
love in the heart,
body,
health in the body,
spirit,
peace in the spirit,
heart.
love in the heart.
Wish.
It is
This that we wish
for ourselves,
for ourselves,
for our
friends and family,
Crow,
for the goose and the crow,
brothers and sisters,
for our brothers
brothers,
and sisters,
sisters,
humanity,
and
for
for all.
all humanity.
wish,
It is
This
this
that we wish
self,
for ourselves,
ourselves,
family,
for our
our
friends,
friends and family,
our brothers and sisters,
for all
for all
our
our brothers and sisters,
the crow,
for the
the
goose
goose and the crow,
all humanity.
and for all humanity.
Goose, may you never be hungry,
Goose, may you never be hungry.
thirsty.
Goose, may you never be thirsty.
May your spirit fly free.
Goose, may your spirit fly free.
And so she does.
So she does.
Pathways, everyone.
open pathways.
To be back, eh? Oh yeah, good. Looking forward to that. Oh yeah. Not for me. I can honestly say it now.
Yeah.
But to help support these
There are
vigils.
like minor
Minor
costs
costs.
entailed in the vigil. So if anyone wants
Okay,
to
cool.
chuck a few silvers in here, I'll be going around with this. If you have any, for the gin and the ribbons and a few other things. So thank you very much if you have anything.
No lips. Okay. Only because good, isn't it? No, it hasn't been touched by a lip yet. Open lips. Can you do that, Max? Yeah. Otherwise, you get it all over your beard. Good. Lovely. Now you can lick your.
Yay, there we go. Is Natalie gone? Oh no, she's still here. Hooray! That was lovely, wasn't it? Yay. Thank you to everyone who's watching on Facebook. Thank you for being here. It's been lovely. I'm going to stop doing the live now, but you have been most welcome, and I'm very glad you were here. And thank you to everyone who is here on the Zoom. So bye-bye to Facebook. Bye, Facebook.
Facebook.
And then let's stop the recording.